It's time to check in on the latest buzz in the entertainment world.
Mike from 105.1 The Buzz joining us live. Good morning.
Good morning, guys.
Good morning.
All right, this story is quite frankly wild.
Yeah.
Yes. So Blindside star Michael Oher, he had a successful career in the NFL, but he's most known for being the subject of Blindside. The family adopted him in Mississippi, and he went on to have this career. He says that premise of that story is a lie, that he never fully was adopted by the Tuohys.
There is a lot to unpack with this story. So Michael Oher made a motion with a Tennessee court yesterday morning, citing that he was duped and that he was never legally adopted by the Tuohy family, and that they used his likeness and fame to tell the story and made money off of his likeness, and he never saw a dime of that. So what ended up happening is the Tuohy family is now firing back at Michael Oher, saying that at the time, because he was 18 years old, they couldn't legally adopt him. So they entered into a conservatorship where they could oversee his things. So that would make him part of the family. So he'd be eligible to go to Ole Miss on a scholarship underneath their family clauses or whatever they do at the universities, which is what ended up happening. The Tuohy family also said that they never made any money off the Blindside. In fact, that the only payments they ever received were a one-time payment from the author of the book before the movie for $14,000 each for a family member, which also included Michael Oher. I mean, they're both rich, so I don't think this is a money grab, but there is a lot coming out in this whole story to see what happens.
It's so interesting. And to me, the first question that I had when I saw all this start trending yesterday was, why now? I mean, it's been years since this movie came out.
Right. Yeah, I don't know the answer to that either. But I do think there is a part of, there is a financial side to this, though, where the family says they didn't get paid, but other records show that they did get paid from the movie. And,
I mean,
yeah.
The movie grossed over $300 million. Money went somewhere into who knows. If I was Michael Oher, I'd be a little hurt up, too, that I didn't see any of that because you're telling my story. But yeah, like he had a 7-8 year professional football career. He has a net worth around $20 million on his own. The Tuohy family is worth over $200 million after building a fast food empire, which they sold off. So, you know, there are some things that are going to come out in this that probably don't necessarily look good. But the Tuohys, no pun intended, were blindsided by this whole thing. Because, you know, they said they had a great relationship with Michael up until about a year ago when things started to waver and go in a different direction.
Well, and one thing I want to point out, too, in the reports from this is that according to Michael Oher, when he signed this, and to your point, Mike, he signed this conservatorship 3 months after turning 18, so he was no longer going to be adopted. As it was explained to him at the time, and again, these are his words, he didn't know the difference between being adopted and a conservatorship. Think when you're 18 years old and your only goal right now, if you're trying to be adopted by a family, trying to play football, that's kind of his point, is that he didn't understand that that's what was being signed. It was explained to him as, we can't adopt you, this is the closest thing we can do, and that allows the Tuohys, in theory, to be in control of the money. Remember, think conservatorship, think Britney Spears. That's like what that's synonymous with. So that's what the fight is here, according to Michael Oher, and it's going to be fascinating to see this play out.
Interesting. Yeah.
They're probably already building a Netflix doc that's going to be called Blindsided and what actually happened.
Yeah, we'll see.
The story writes itself.
Yes, it does.
I don't know. Okay. Well, hey, we have some celebrity marriage news. Congratulations to Zooey Deschanel getting engaged.
Yeah, this one came out of left field. I had no idea she was even dating Jonathan Scott of the Property Brothers, but here we are. Apparently, they've been dating for about 4 years. He popped the question on a family vacation over in Scotland. Her daughter and son from a previous relationship were also involved in part of the proposal. It's a huge ring that is in the shape of a flower with pink, purple, and clear gemstones. Who knows how much that thing's worth, but I thought this was the most interesting part of this story. Again, I had no idea they were dating, but apparently they met doing an episode of Carpool Karaoke 4 years ago on the James Corden show.
Oh, wow.
Oh, my gosh.
Fun.
This is like celebrity Mad Libs, like filling in this story. I'm just
yeah, totally.
met with James Corden.
Yeah, and Zooey Deschanel, you know, she's got her show, The New Girl, that ended a few years ago. I don't know what she's been up to. The Property Brothers are all over every, you know, HGTV, Home
Yeah.
Network. Like,
She's got
you
a
know, they
new
have
like
things everywhere.
hotels commercial.
Oh,
right?
I have seen
see
that.
It on our,
I have
see
seen
it during
that.
our morning show. I don't know. She's on some
The
commercial
star
for
of the
some hotel
hotels.com
company.
commercial.
kind
Is
of
Jonathan,
thing.
is he the realtor, the guy, or the...
Oh, I can't
He's
tell
the
them
builder.
apart.
He's the
He's
builder?
the builder.
He's
Drew
the
is
builder.
the realtor.
Okay.
Okay.
They
Interesting.
they are twins. I cannot tell them apart.
Yeah.
All
Well,
right.
congrats to the happy couple.
Absolutely,
That's kind of fun.
yes.
All right.
man.
Thanks, Mike. Have a good one. We'll see you tomorrow.
Bye, guys.
You can listen to Liz and Mike every weekday morning on 105.1 The Buzz.